According to Nelson Mandela, the youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow. This sentiment rings true throughout history when it comes to the education and development of young leaders. However, there is always the potential for abuse by those in power when given control over a young, impressionable population. Perhaps the best example of this was the Nazi Party's attempts to indoctrinate young German boys using propaganda techniques including youth rallies and posters to boost recruitment for the Hitler Youth. The origins of the Nazi youth movement can be traced back to 1923. At the time, the youth wing of the Nazi Party, formerly called the Hitlerjugend Bunderdeutschen Arbeiterjugend, or Hitler Youth League of German Worker Youth, had a meager 1,200 members. By the start of 1932, this number had ballooned to over 108,000. In April 1932, Germany's chancellor at the time, Heinrich Brüning, attempted to ban the Hitler Youth movement as a means of stopping political violence. However, this ban was short-lived following Hitler's appointment as Reich Chancellor the following year in 1933. To further increase membership, Hitler appointed Walter von Schirach as the first Reichsjugendführer, or Reich Youth Leader. In the coming years, membership would continue to grow rapidly, eventually becoming mandatory for all German boys aged 10 to 18 by 1936, and reaching a membership of over 7.2 million by 1940.
Was wir vom kommenden Deutschland ersehnen und erwarten, das müsst ihr, meine Jungens und Mädchen, erfüllen.
The goals of the Hitler Youth were to indoctrinate young German boys to the Nazi Party ideology of nationalism, militarism, and loyalty to Hitler. One of the main ways to spread this ideology was by hosting youth rallies and camps. The largest of these was the Nuremberg rallies, which were held annually starting in 1923. During the 1934 rally, over 50,000 Hitler Youth were in attendance. Following the start of the war, the Hitler Youth became increasingly militaristic. Activities performed at youth camps included physical training, military drills, and ideological education, including that of white Aryan supremacy and anti-Semitism.
Pflanzt es in die Jugend hinein das Wissen, dass am Juden die ganze Menschheit zugrunde geht. Erzieht die Kinder zu einem gesunden Hass, zu einem gesunden Zorn. Sagt den Kindern jawohl mit der Peitsche. Hat sie hinausgehauen. Erzeugt diesen Hass.
One of the most influential figures in the Nazi Party was Joseph Goebbels, who served as the Reich Minister of Propaganda from 1933 to 1945. In his role, he controlled the content of the press, literature, film, theater, radio, and all other forms of visual artwork. One of the most effective forms of visual propaganda utilized by the Nazi Party to bolster recruitment for the Hitler Youth was posters, which were frequently displayed in public spaces such as schools, trains, and town squares. The imagery depicted in posters frequently drew on heroic realism. Nazi youth and the German Schutzstaffel, or SS, were depicted side by side, creating a sense of grandeur in the war effort. It reinforced the idea that joining the Hitler Youth was a noble and honorable endeavor that aligned with the party and national values. Slogans and symbolism were also important aspects of posters, calling the reader to action by invoking a sense of duty to the Nazi cause. Posters with the text, Offiziere von Morgen, translates to Officers of Tomorrow, while another states, Users the Führer, all 10-year-olds into the Hitler Youth. Text was often displayed in bright, bold red font, reflective of the Nazi regime's official colors. Common symbols included the swastika and a black eagle, known as the Bundeswappen, on the coat of arms. Following the end of the war in 1945, the Hitler Youth was disbanded and outlawed across Germany. New educational programs were put in place to aid in denazification and help children reintegrate into society. However, the legacy of the Hitler Youth remains a chilling reminder of how radical regimes can manipulate society, particularly children, to achieve their political goals.